Today we discover that leather is secretly easy. Yo dog, Kenny Boucher here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days. Here in the Beats Lab in Hollywood, California, we're doing it again. Today we're doing something real special. We're painting a miniature that's actually in my family. Old Guard Miniatures was an old school miniature casting company, New Hope, Pennsylvania, and my grandfather, my mom's pops, owned it. My mom worked there, she did some casting. She probably cast this miniature that we're working on today. Sat on a shelf for 10 years before I was even born. We're painting it up for Christmas for my mom, aka 40K Sue, the iciest mom of the biz. As usual, we're going to be breaking it up into a couple of videos today. Leather is secretly easy. I'm going to show you how to get that style, how to get those leather threads popping. Alright guys, this is the first day back since the big 4-day break, Thanksgiving, and all the way through the weekend we were on a content blackout. Anyway guys, happy Thanksgiving, happy Christmas, all that stuff. Well, we got a robust list of people to thank today. This episode brought to you by the following individuals over on Patreon: Jaster, Mike, Andre, Lena, Chuck, Brady, Rich, Joshua, Dane, John, Goran, Leonicio, Mackie J, Parker Gray, Eleanor, Joe Kim, Aaron, Kenny, that's my jams, Eric, Chris, William, and Talcum. Thanks guys, literally can't do it without you. Patreon is our VIP page to get that early access to all these videos and more. Anyway guys, let's do it. Let's get it started. Here he is, the Sioux Indian War Chief. We did 1 or 2 really thin coats with the primer. This is Ghost Gray from Vallejo. Want to keep those details looking their best, very subtle stuff. The Old Guard ink right here. This is what came inside the packaging. This is so OG, 1973 Old Guard. This is New Hope, Pennsylvania. This is where my mom used to work. It's her pop's old shop. Here we go. Game Air, charred brown. We're going to start off with this to establish our very simple brown technique. We're going to build up a couple of thin coats over this entire model. The good thing here is that he's got a lot of skin tones that this brown's going to work with. He's got a lot of organic colors, like even the white is going to combo off of this well, because most of the whites we're going to do here in the bone are going to be a nice organic white. So this is a good place to go. I'm not going to sit here and just try to spray 1 or 2 little areas. We're going to spray the whole thing brown. That's simple. Solid color here, dark brown. Now it's not enough to just pick a dark brown and a light brown if the browns are wrong. What you're looking for in leathers is a real deep brown, and then you want to combo off to almost a yellowy brown, but then you got to reintroduce some reds. At least that's my style. So same deal, this is a shield. We did a little sub-assembly on the leather shield. We're going to spray that down while we got it chilling right chilling. OG, you know, be careful when handling these types of miniatures. Antimony, lead, and tin. Anyway, here we go. Beastie Brown, game color from Vallejo. It's one of the best browns ever. We're going to mix a little bit of that Beastie Brown in with the charred brown. And we're going to start establishing a bit of a mid-tone here. We're not going to wipe out all the charred brown because we want the leather to be a little bit uneven, a little bit patchy. It's OG as fuck, you know? This is some historical shit right here. Now, I ain't a leather scientist, not even a historical scientist. I just know I seen leather once. So here we go, just building them up. Kind of center mass in some of the areas, like the limbs here, like right above the cockrobe, all that stuff. Real subtle. That's the Next Level painting system. I like to marry the highlight color with the previous color to create a nice mid-tone. Helps us eliminate speckling and get smooth transitions. Here's round 2. We're just doing Beastie Brown Raw Dog, no mix. And you can see how it's immediately elevating the color, but it's leaving some of that charred brown and that mid-tone intact, giving us a nice multi-dimensional transition. Good look here to the leather. Solid dude right here. Lots of subtle details. We're trying to keep the paint real thin. There we go in the back. Now, you could have pre-highlighted this model if you wanted to. It's not typically my style, but I know a lot of historical guys would do that. Real quick, this is kind of the secret bonus tip. Mediocre, privateer press. We're going to mix a little bit of that mediocre in with the beastie brown, and we're going to just augment it one last time. Pop it out. Give us a nice little yellow sheen to the leather. Almost a tan. Always take it to 11 because you know we're going to use some wash game here to help redefine that leather. Feeling good about it. No speckling. Flawless transitions. But we got to do something here in a second. After we get this shield done, I feel like I need to add a little contrast to the model for the sake of the tutorial. So we're going to pull out a little bit of bloodstone. And we're going to cut in a couple of quick details. Cut in his hand. Now, bloodstone is a great color for skin. Like, nobody ever looks at it like that. You know, don't just look at the names of paints and say, oh, that's for this or that's for that. I like to look at the pigment and I like to imagine what it can actually be used for. And this more native skin tone, bloodstone is perfect for it. At least as a starting point to highlight off of. We're going to cut in these details on his hands. We're going to keep the paint, medium thick on the hands, 1 or 2 coats. Hands don't really have any detail in them. These are an OG hand sculpt, but the face has very subtle details. So we're going to thin that bloodstone down to dirty paint water level. And we're going to do like 3 to 4 thin coats, literally that thin. We're going to nurture it up, get those browns popping. This is bonus right here. We're bringing all the browns to the table today. But I wanted them there so we could have a sharp looking mini while we're exploring just 1 or 2 elements of the model. Whip out the charred brown again, cut back in the details on the axe handle. Same thing here with the spear. Anywhere it doesn't look right, anywhere you got overspray on it, come in, wipe it out. Just want to keep the model in focus while we're working on it so we can admire the composition. We're going to pull out the old P3 Formula Sanguine base and we're going to paint that cockroach. I want to just cut it in for contrast's sake so you can really see these details, break up those colors and those transitions. Absolutely one of the best reds possible. We're going real thin and red sticks to brown, so it's not a big deal. All right, round 2, bloodstone, dirty paint water style. Simple tip right here. Keep the paint thin, especially when you're working with a model that has very subtle hand sculpted details. Now, some of these new GW models, which are amazing, have very aggressive details. You don't have to worry about it as much. But here it is, the third super thin coat, and you can see now we have a nice base of bloodstone, but it's so thin that all his details are showing through. And he doesn't have very much of them, to be honest. Very subtle eye line, cheekbones, a little bit of wrinkles around his mouth, showing his age. We're gonna have to manufacture some of these effects later. All right, Mephiston red, one of the best reds in the business. I don't care what year it is, 1973, 2017. We're gonna mix a little bit of that Mephiston red in with that sanguine base, and we're just gonna cut it in. Another thin coat. Get that cockroach looking good. Okay, now we're gonna put some bloodstone in the airbrush. We're staying busy in the beats lab as always, and we're just gonna blast a little bit more bloodstone on the face to completely even out any of the blotchiness in the skin. The reason I didn't start with the airbrush is because it would take too many coats at the thinness that I wanted to. Anyway, midland flesh, we're going to use this as a highlight and you're going to see why. We're going to mix midland flesh in with the bloodstone. Create a fleshy highlight. Top down, let it catch the ridges of his nose, his cheeks, so it can really put an exclamation point on those subtle details. Look how smooth that skin is. Very nice. Same thing on his hands. We're going to blast a little bit in. Quick little highlight. Too easy. Now, we're not going to keep him this skin tone. We want him to be a little bit darker, a little bit more native, a little bit more tanned. But that is a good way to keep it detailed, show those details off. Take it to 11 before you wash it to 10. That's what I always say. Not a wash scientist, but I am in school for it. Here we go. Cutting in those details one last time. Wipe out some of those transitions from the midland flesh highlight. So it's a good starting place. You can see the leather looks great. Skin looks solid, but it wouldn't be a next level painting tutorial if I didn't put the exclamation point on it. We didn't thread the needle. We didn't dot the I's. Mild brown, quick shade. This is a army painter wash. We're going to mix a little dark tone into it, and we're going to make our super top secret leather recipe. Now, 1 or 2 drops of red, and that is our formula. We're going to put some quick shade mixing medium in it. This helps cut it down, make it more thin. And now we're going to take our bigger brush, sable, and we're going to lightly wash this color in over all the brown. Light strokes, light brush pressure, dapple it in if you need to. But you see there's a lot of details in this leather that were sculpted into it to make it an organic animal hide. This wash is going to pull those details out. And this wash, in my opinion, has the right colors to make that leather look natural. We're going to not use any gloss varnish technique here. We actually want the wash to be a little thicker than normal. We potentially are going to try to nurture some heavier dry patterns. We want there to be a slight blotchiness to the leather in some areas. So we're going to just manipulate it, stay in motion, keep going. Now, we're going to take some flesh wash, another quick shade, and we're going to just raw dog this flesh wash over his face. And it's going to knock down those skin tones to the level that I want, the tan skin that I want, that native flesh. There it is. It's looking pretty good right here. Let it dry up. The flesh tone is perfect for this. Here we go. This is him after all his dry time. He's looking real natural. We're going to keep him in that historical vein, keep those tones muted. Anyway, guys, play on, players.